Colleagues, it's a pleasure to be here this morning to talk with you about what the future might hold. But before I do that, I'd like to offer some thank yous. Jim, thank you to you for having the foresight to come to me last year. I think it was around about October, November time where I first met you, and said that you wanted to help because, like me, you are a passionate believer in education and business working together to improve the life chances of children, students, pupils, whatever phrase you might use to describe the future of our world. Can I also thank Claudia at the Careers and Enterprise Company for being a passionate advocate of what I would consider to be absolute common sense, bringing business and education together to make a difference for the world that we live in. What I also want to do, though, is thank you. Because without your work, and looking at the list of delegates today, there is a vast cross-section of people that work in schools. But without your work, none of what is being achieved at the moment would be possible. You too believe in the power of business and education working together. You have made it your role in schools and in businesses to ensure that happens. And you are the vanguard of a change in culture. A little bit of what I would like to talk about today and why I believe that change in culture is happening for the better, and it's happening even more rapidly now than it started just a few years ago. But before I do that, I too, Jim, would have been in the 1800s in the fields. I'm certain of that. I too come from quite humble beginnings, and probably what changed my life all those years ago was my father working for the railway at the time, and I was able to be given, around about 14, a free pass. And it opened up my little world from that perspective, because I was able to get on a train for free and then go to different places. Sounds a bit strange now, because my two boys who are 11 and 9, I would never allow to go on the train at 14. But of course, it was a different world then. But what of the future for my boys? Because when you're a parent and you are living your life through their eyes, you start to see things very differently. The way they touch a screen, every screen now, and expect it to respond. And they don't bother with a keyboard anymore. The way they operate, and they think Facebook and Twitter is irrelevant because they want to YouTube everything. The way I look in and peer into their futures and think, what does it really hold for them when Elliot, my 11-year-old, nearly 12 now, who's just started secondary school, is going to, in 8 years' time or so, possibly be looking at university or a job. And my 9-year-old is going to be looking at a job along with Elliot, my 11-year-old, that doesn't exist at the moment. And how, as a head teacher, can I prepare students that I serve in their communities that I serve for jobs that don't exist and skills that we haven't even thought of? And of course, the only way we can bridge that gap, the only way, is to work with business, to work integrally with them so we get our students ready for the future that awaits them. So the importance of your work is that you are connectors between the education world and the real business world that exists out in the real world. You are the change makers for the futures of our children. Whatever term you use to describe our children, students, or pupils, without your work, they will not be ready for the future. And if I'm honest with you, as a parent, the future really worries me. The significant change that Jim talked about this morning, gathering pace in the way that the world of work will operate in the future, is a challenge for all of us who sit here, who are passionate about the children that we serve and their future life. I am a passionate believer in the way business and education can change people's lives. But a bugbear of mine is the way education flips every 2 years on policy. And anybody that's spoken to me or has heard me speak before will know that I advocate policy being done differently. That I advocate that policy should not be part of the political paradigm we operate in and shouldn't be tied into the electoral system. That education policy should be long-term. More of that if you come and speak to me at some stage or hear me speak again. I see it going on around the world. I see many countries committing to a 10 or 20-year policy for education. And they're doing it, and this is the crucial bit, they're doing it because the world that they know is changing massively. And the only way we can get our children ready for the future is to create a long-term plan for education. Now, of course, that requires a change in culture. You are already providing that change in culture. The work that the Careers and Enterprise Company is doing, that started a few years back and is accelerating in its progress, with the support of Future Talent, with the support of the Association of School and College Leaders, and many of the partners here today, is starting to change a culture. And what we all know from the work that we do in schools, especially if you've ever worked in a school that perhaps isn't in the best state when you first go to it, is that the change in culture that we wish for takes time. It takes energy, it takes commitment, and it takes time to deliver that change in culture. And you are part of that successful change in culture that is taking place for careers education in this country at this moment in time. That I firmly believe will take us to a world-class offer for students, the best in the world. Now, whenever I mention the phrase world-class, I often, as somebody who's from Great Britain, feel a bit embarrassed. Because we do, don't we, in this country? We think of world-class is about something, if we believe the press and the educational press sometimes, we believe that world-class is something that's done in another country, somewhere else. Well, let me tell you it's not. World-class is more often done in this country, with our students, by you. Not by other people in other countries. And it was my great privilege last year to be able to represent the Association of School and College Leaders in the UK in different places in the world. And I can tell you this, the English education system is much vaunted across the world. The work that you do is seen by countries in the world as world-class. Leaders from England are wanted from around the world. Teachers from England are wanted from around the world. So be secure in that knowledge that the work that you do every day, and much of it, will be world-class. And the area of careers education that we are changing the culture of in this country is moving towards world-class. And it is a key time for change. The government is backing that work with its recent announcement of extra careers hubs starting across the country to support the excellent work already provided by the Careers and Enterprise Company and its leadership of that. The work that's going on at a national level that I am fortunate to be involved in is really underpinning the work that you are delivering at a local level. You should be reassured that there are voices of common sense talking across the piece to ensure that we continue in our culture change. So what for the future? Well, I was speaking to a good friend of mine the other day who reminded me, and he's absolutely right, that golden ages are not about just what was in the past. And I, like him, believe that golden ages exist in the future. You are all working towards a change in culture in careers education across this country. You are all working towards a new golden age for our students of world-class careers education in this country. You should be congratulated for the work that you do, for being those change makers for the future, for making the difference that you do, and your incredible hard work and commitment to ensure that the pupils, children, students of now and in the future get the best deal that they possibly can.